What a week it's been in WA hockey, and we're going to bring it all to you on another episode of the Hockey Hour. Jace Gabriel here with you, and as always, former Hockey-roo joins me, Jane Claxton. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you. Another exciting weekend in clubland, but also at a national level as well.
Yes, huge news at a national level, but we will get to that shortly. We'll have that through the Hockey WA news. We'll go through the results and upcoming fixtures of the Stiles Electrical Premier League. We'll have the mailbag. We've answered one of your mailbag questions with our Stiles Electrical Premier League player this week. We'll have Ben Rennie, the goalkeeper of the Fremantle Coburn, what are they? They're lossless. Is that a way to
Undefeated?
Undefeated? Yeah, the undefeated. I couldn't get the word out.
Synonyms.
The undefeated Fremantle Coburn Hockey Club. We have the Goldfields Festival of Hockey this weekend. We're going to chat to their former president in Dan Lavery, and then of course Extra Time, which we're going to keep that under wraps for the time being because it does connect with what's happened over the weekend. But let's get straight into the Hockey WA news. Off the top, 4 in a row, the WA under-21 men have won their 4th national championship in a row. They won 1-0 over New South Wales. Charlie Hampson was the scorer. Matt Edwards, the Westside Wolves goalkeeper, was the best on ground. Unbelievable.
Honestly, and such timing for us to chat last week to Gizzy. Like, that to do it at club level for 4 premierships in a row, then at national level is just an entirely different game because you only get 2 weeks. You don't get to play everyone. You have to perform in every single match. In club season, you get to build into it. You can drop some games here and there and it not be too impactful. But wow.
The other part to it is that the changeover of players through that 4 years. I don't think there's not been one player who's gone through all 4 years, as far as I know. Some have done 2, some have done 3. It's crazy. And to get that outcome again is just incredible. I'm not sure if you saw the video from the live stream, and there's a moment where Tim just takes it in himself towards the end of the video. I just thought that was just a moment for him, just taking it in. But incredible effort by the WA boys. The WA girls, unfortunately, finishing 6th. They went down to New South Wales as well, 5-0 in their crossover playoff. But well done to Steph Andrews and her team. They, I think, fell short, just short in one of their quarterfinals.
Definitely.
But fantastic effort by everyone involved. 4 in a row. That's I don't think that's been done before from what Tim said last week. So fantastic effort. But we go on to international news, Jane. The Kookaburras have announced their squad for Europe.
Yeah, and Mark Hager, obviously the coach of the Kookaburras coming in this year, has announced pretty experienced side. A mix of Olympians, some fresh talent. And so it'll be exciting to see what they put on the park for this kind of Europe stint and UK of Pro League. So I think they've obviously, in through Sydney, they were exposing a lot of newer guys to the international scene. So I think he's consolidated a lot of the guys that are over in Europe already playing, being incorporated back into the team. So yeah, this will be an exciting little period, I think, for the Kookaburras to see how they've bounced back from the Olympics. Because notoriously there's a lot of retirements post-Olympics, and so this will be their first proper hit out, I think.
Yeah, it certainly will. So great challenges over there. James Collins and Tom Harvey, the West Australians, that have been selected, and it all kicks off 14th of June in Antwerp against Belgium, our arch nemesis.
Yes. Gosh, I feel like they're Australia 2.0, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're coached by Australia.
Yeah.
You know, their way of play is becoming more Aussie day by day, so they want to be us.
Yeah, they certainly do. The WA under-18s teams for black and gold have been announced now. So congratulations to all players that have been selected. We're going to be lucky enough to hold that tournament here in Perth between the 4th and 12th of July. So make sure you write those dates down in your calendar because the future of the Kookaburras and the Hockey-roos is going to be on show. That's all the Hockey WA news this week, Jane. Let's get to the mailbag because there's been some cracking questions in the mailbag this week.
I'm loving it. I love the people getting involved.
Yes, absolutely. Let's start with a question that we're going to be able to ask later. Now, Nigel Hindmarsh has said, loving the show and not a question, but love for you to get a goalkeeper interview. And he's a biased dad of two keepers. Now, we won't reveal Nigel's question because we will ask Ben Rennie that question later in the show. But fantastic question, Nigel. We have answered your wishes and got Ben on the show, and we will give that question to him later. But not only have we answered Nigel's wish to get Ben on, but he also wanted either Lizzie Dogood or Andrew Charter.
Nearly everything.
The GOAT of the female Stiles Electrical Premier League, the 6-time goalkeeper of the year, Lizzie Dogood, has written in and has been very happy with our chat about the shootout last week. She's really enjoying the show this year. And she says, her 2 cents on last week's shootout topic, I think it's worthwhile implementing a rule that floorball has where either the striker or ball must be moving forward, i.e. can't move backwards. I think this would prevent the boring, in her opinion, tactic of the striker turning their back on the goalkeeper. Thoughts? Yeah,
true. And it's always been, I know one reason I wasn't a shootout taker is because I had to turn my back on the keeper. I wasn't super confident with eliminating going forward. And so, and Trini was always like, I want you to face the keeper. You've got so many more opportunities to realise when you've wrong-footed them, slip the ball when you're ready. And so I agree with Lizzie. I think implementing that type of tactic, you prevent the really powerful swivel that I think you see in the men's game, particularly with one-on-ones, where they just get it in the hook of their stick and just fling the living hell out of it into the corner.
Well, the goalies are good at that now, and they adopt the indoor type style where they go over with their stick. But I had two options when I came up for a shootout, and that was I'd go straight towards them, and then I'd go to the right and then tuck straight away, try to get through their legs. And the other one was just run straight at them, don't move the ball, and then just try to push it between their legs. And it worked.
Yeah, that's gutsy. I would overthink it too much.
I did it at training a few times. I think it was the 2018 AHL. And then I ended up scoring. I'm like, I'm going to have to actually pull this out now.
Yeah.
And I did. And it got in. And I was happy.
And keepers are getting good at scouting. But I think club level and national, they don't see you enough to know 100%. What you're going to do. But international level, you always have to change it up slightly. So
I love it. Yeah. Great feedback, Lizzie. We'll speak to the powers that be to make sure Lizzie gets her way. One of the great goalkeepers of our league. Let's get to the next question. This one might take us a little bit longer, but let's see if we can rattle off a few names, Jane. This is from Ruben Joubert. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Which player from each of the Premier 1 teams do you think is underrated or a hidden gem? Any that...
Yeah, specifically, okay.
Any that you've come across?
I think across WA you know everyone, and so for you they're not a hidden gem because you just appreciate playing against them and what they deliver. Like on the weekend, I played against Jessie Reid, and I've always really rated her. I love how she plays the game, maybe because it's a bit like me. Great distributor of the ball, very underrated. Probably doesn't get the notoriety of the fancier player, but I'm always drawn to those players that are more workhorse, play that team hockey, create great ball movement, move the ball from side to side type of thing. So I'm always going to have that bias to me, I think.
I think for me, for the girls' side, I think we noted earlier someone had asked who the players to watch out for might have been. There's a girl at Vic Park named Ruby Williams. She lit up the Premier 2 Grand Final last year and was very, very close to being the best on ground. Hayley Carter or Paget, former teammate of yours, was just pipped her on that day. But she's definitely going to be one to watch. Very quick, very skillful. I think she will be something going forward. I think you also can't underestimate some of the more experienced players in the league.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. For me, I think everybody knows Daryl McCormick. 450 games. He's a lot older probably than the rest of the competition, but he is still as good as he was 10, 15 years ago. For him to be able to still make tackles, make it difficult for players, his marking's always tight, he gets in front, he wins the ball. I think that's also underrated because we always think of just kids coming up and things like that. He is still playing as good a hockey as I've seen him play, and he just doesn't age. Like, it's incredible.
Incredible. But also, like, there's a plenty of, I guess, deep defenders across the competition. Maybe they drop down the field as they get older, but they're so hard to get past because they read the game so well. They're just vigilant on that sweeper line. They're like great markers, and they do the simple things well, but they allow the other more trickier players to shine because they're willing to do just the boring stuff.
Yep.
The boring stuff. I think it's quite fascinating. But yeah, and I think there's a few plotted throughout the WA competition, both men's and women's, that deserve accolades, but everyone's so used to seeing what they do and that they're expected to do that. And so often you kind of see the young guns, you're like, wow, I've never seen them before, or suddenly they've hit maturity. And so then people are like, they're so amazing. And then these other people that just year on, year out delivering the same high quality hockey, they kind of just slip away and people forget about them. And so yeah, it's a hard one to select just one.
It certainly is, And I think if you're probably looking at the 21s team, the under 18s, they're the guys and girls that are playing in the Premier League. They're the ones that are probably going to be, I suppose, underrated, or the hidden gems, because they're still working themselves out, how they play, how they connect with the more experienced players in their teams. They're the ones that are going to surprise, I think, and all of a sudden they're going to be not so underrated and not so much of a hidden gem. So hopefully we've given you a few names there, Ruben. We probably haven't been able to give you one from each team, but there's certainly some exciting players coming around and playing in the Premier League, and will be not so hidden gems going forward. This one has come from my great mate, Matt Dawson.
I never knew this about you.
Yeah, well, Matt Dawson wants to know when I'm going to bring the bandana back. Now, Jane, I used to wear a bandana.
Oh, that.
I used to match my
It was
kit.
very popular back in the day.
It certainly was. And I think there are some international players that might still wear a bandana. I think Malaysians have been quite popular for it, and maybe some of the Koreans potentially.
Well, now they've got the more like Nike sweatband headband, but it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I just made it cool early on.
Yeah.
I did that through my juniors, and then I think I stopped at maybe 2006. No,
what drove you to stop it?
I think I only wore it because I had like long hair as like a teenager, like you do, and it would just like we didn't have headbands, right? Like the headband all the boys and girls wear now. So it was just I'll just tie this around it, and I was into my hip hop when I was a teenager, and that's why I did it. I was like, I'm going to do this and be different and look cool. And so I was far from that. But so Matt, sorry. I don't think it's going to come back. I stopped because I didn't have long hair anymore and tried to look respectable as I think it was a 20-year-old or whatever it was. I stopped, 19-year-old. So sorry, Matt. I'll wear it for you when I see you next, Matt. There you go. That's the mailbag this week. Let's run through the games from the weekend, Jane. Let's go back to Saturday. And it was Wasps and YMCC out at Shenton. A 4-1 victory to Waspies. Ko Miata and Sophie Fedot with one. And our good friend Stephanie Kershaw with a double. Maddie Fitzpatrick with a single for YM. But I think we picked this. So I think we said it was going to be close, but didn't probably see it like
this. No, we didn't see the disparity this big.
No.
Gosh, it just shows you that having someone like a Kershaw that's a goal a game and now 2 goals is like, she's a formidable force, and we played it this weekend.
You going to mark her?
I don't know. Just heckle her the whole time. Getting ahead.
I love it. We go on to the next game. 4-1 victory for Hale over Whitfords. A double to Tyler Pedley. Claire Colwell and Sienna Joubert with a single. Maya Keating with a single for Whitfords. Their year just keeps getting more and more difficult, unfortunately. But I'm sure there is a win around the corner for Penny's girls. Lions with a huge win over Raiders. This is a big scoreline.
Very big.
9-0. A single to Luciana Perez. and Maria Gustavino, a double to Chelsea Turner, single to Jolie Sotoro, and 4 to Georgina Dowd. 2 of them in the same minute. Two in the 57th, it says here.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, suddenly you're right up the goal scoring ladder there, Georgina, sitting in equal second with Ellie Buckley, 4 goals in one game, and that's what it does.
Absolutely. So comprehensive there by subs. This was a cracker, this one. Vic Park and Wolves, a 1-0 victory to Wolves, and I was lucky enough to receive a text from Scott Goodhart, a long-time Wolves man, gave me some feedback on the game. He said, thought Vic Park were very impressive, and their place on the table does not align with their position on the table. Somerville was very good going forward, as expected, and took them a few quarters to sort that out. Wilson, as in Georgia, Renee Rockcliffe, Annie Gibbs, and Tatum Stewart, all influential as well, and their experience showed. 5 PCs to none for Wolves, and they got one on the 5th, and that goal scorer was Maddie Radcliffe, and that was all she wrote. So a really tight game of hockey.
Yeah, and I think we covered it off last week. I think what Vic Park has probably struggled with is when they don't have those key players in, like they've missed Georgia Hiskins and Carrie Somerville and Tatum Stewart the previous week, and so dropped a game. And I think having those overhead threats and those really dominant defenders that can carry breaks open lines, because it's so hard to understand who's going to go and tackle the centre back that's carrying the ball through the press.
Yeah.
And Carrie Somerville offers that for Vic Park. And so, yeah.
Having a look at this, she was sent off in the 45th and Wolves scored in the 51st. So some ill discipline there may have contributed.
Not like her, though.
No, very much so.
Big little character.
She's probably said something umpire and deserved her yellow card. The most quietest person you'll ever meet.
No.
And Jane, a 3-0 victory for UWA over Reds. I thought you'd be better. Jessie Reed, Prada Heron, and Lexi Pickering on the scoreboard.
I think you cursed us. So from one day's recording last week, we went into that game 8 people down.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
On top of that, our 2s double ups that would normal double up were also injured. So then we were doing like the backups of the backups, and we literally went into that game, and our coach posted a picture of a bus inside the defensive circle. But to our credit, we actually played exceptional hockey and didn't get the goals we probably should have. I think we had more goal shot opportunities in the first half than them, but didn't get any scoreboard pressure. And then Legs kind of ran away from us probably in the last 10 minutes. Like you can probably see where they scored their goals, the last 2 goals. But by no means did they outplay us. I would have accepted a draw if I could have, but we weren't clinical enough in the circle to execute all the opportunities we had. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but also it's kind of refreshing to see when girls aren't surrounded by a lot of strong players, how they can step up and like really outperform what they expect of themselves. And so that was kind of heartwarming, but I'm so competitive that I still want to win.
The Green Machine get back on the winners list. That takes us to the ladder. Wolves on 21, Lions moved to 17. We'll have a very good goal difference now. Hale 16, UWA 13, Wasps moved to 12, and that wraps the top 5. Like you mentioned, Georgina moves to equal second with Ellie Buckley on 10 goals, and Maddie Radcliffe with her single moves 1 ahead to 11. Let's have a quick look at this weekend's fixtures before we go over to the boys. It's going to start with your game, Wasps and Reds.
A Saturday game of the season.
Do you have everyone back, or will they be available? No? Okay, so
No. We'll have our 21s back finally.
Okay.
But we still have a few lingering injuries from the previous week. But no, we should field a pretty good, decent team, so that'll be nice.
Okay, I'm picking Steph for a hat-trick and Wasps.
This game.
Okay, good. Steph for a hat-trick and Wasps to win for me. I'm sorry.
Hat-trick,
Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm putting the pressure on it. UWA Lions, this could be fascinating.
Yeah. Well, the UWA we played on the weekend, I think Lions will win.
Okay.
They will probably field the same team, I imagine. And so, yeah, I think Lions will do pretty well against them.
I think
You've got Georgina Dowd up front. And
yes.
What I think will be the deciding factor is having a striker up front that's deadly.
Yep. Okay, I like that. I think I'm going to go with UWA. I think they might be just finding something. YMCC and Whitford's in the Eastern Goldfields. You would expect YMCC should get the job done here?
Yeah, I don't believe hockey rules are being released for this game. So
Right.
Whitfords won't have Maddie Brooks. I'm not sure if Penny's allowed to go as coach, but YM.
North Coast Raiders and Vic Park. Vic Park should win this comfortably.
I would assume, yes.
And then last game is Melville and Hale. This is hard to pick. Melville had the bye.
Yep.
But they just keep finding a way. I know you've talked to how much you like
they're very hard
play.
defensively to get around, so that will challenge Hale. But I think Hale are starting to hit their straps and playing well. They've got all their players back now, and I think I would back them in, even if it's tight.
Okay, I think I like that too. Wolves with the bye this weekend. Let's go over to the boys' side of the competition and a 5-1 victory for YMCC over Wasps. Cooper Burns with a hat-trick and Jesse Regan with a double. Bryn DeBess with a single for Wasps. YM, I think, are always strengthened by Cooper Burns and Liam Henderson playing. Just frees up Jacob Anderson, I think, as well. So good victory there for YM after their loss last weekend. We go to Whitfords and Hale, and this is a 1-1 draw. I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
No, we didn't.
Liam Flynn flicking one in the second quarter, and then Anand Gupti flicking one in with 5 minutes to go and would have caused some chaos out at the Troy Pickard Hockey Centre. But that's a massive point for Whitford. So it's their first points of the year, and what a scalp what a team to take it off.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like Hale have these ebbs and flows with each game, and so I'm not sure what. I didn't see the game on the weekend, so not sure what the game looked like, whether it was like a park the bus situation or really competitive. So
another 1-1 draw, but this time in the game of the round between Fremantle Coburn and Melville. It was Aaron Hazel and James Day, the scorers for each team, both flicking penalty corners. We'll chat to Ben Rennie about that one. I'm sure he'll give us the insights into that game. We go over to North Coast Raiders and Mods, and Raiders have their second win of the year with a 4-1 victory over Mods. Connor Irwin, Jazz Singh, Luke Williams and Sebastian Mucci on the scoreboard, and then Judd Deletty getting one late for Mods. I think one of us picked Mods.
Yes.
Was it you or me?
I feel like it was me. I don't feel like... I'm not too sure. Actually.
One of us did, but anyway, that person was wrong. But North Coast Raiders, North Coast Raiders with a good result and gets them their second victory of the year. Vic Park and Wolves. This started like a house on fire. 3 goals in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And then 2 in the second.
Boring, and then goal.
Yeah, pretty much. It got a little bit tighter, but I think all the work was done by Vic Park in the first half. Really. Will Batistessa, Dane Richards, Kai Stirrett and Kai Willett on the scoreboard. Tom Keating and then Matty Edgar squeezing one in late to make it interesting in the last 10 minutes. But a good victory for Vic Park, and I think we picked that based on personnel.
We did. And obviously your coach didn't get the pressure to feel like they needed to select you, which is...
Yeah, well, no, weren't listening. Yep, weren't listening to you, so they can win without me, that's fine. I'm not dirty, no. It's completely fine. No, I want the boys need to keep winning games to stay in touch. And then at UWA, a 6-2 victory for them over Reds in what was Chris Borz's game to go ahead of Jeff Boyce. So a big celebration out at the UWA Super Turf. Tom Wickham with a second quarter hat-trick, not just a game hat-trick. You got them all in the second quarter. Chris Sorello, the big dog, Javi Gisper, and Chris Borza getting himself on the scoreboard. Goal number 6, the penalty stroke. AJ Lockley with a double for Reds. It seemed pretty comprehensive.
It was actually quite intense and quite competitive. And so when you kept looking at the scoreboard, you're like, whoa, why are they... But they just, got every opportunity they did have, whereas opposed to Aquinas didn't convert everything. But both teams had a ripping game. It was quite good to watch.
Awesome.
Exciting.
Fremantle Coburn remain on top undefeated, 6 wins and 2 draws. YMCC and now UWA on 18 points, Melville on 16 and Reds on 13. That rounds the top 5. Cooper Burns steams away again in the leading goal scorer race. He goes to 14. Liam Flynn 13. Zach Rackus on 11. Let's just have a look at the fixtures for this weekend, Jane. It's going to start with Fremantle, Coburn and Wolves. That, I think, should be comfortably won by Fremantle, Coburn.
I would say so, yeah. They're on a hot streak and not many people can go up to their level of, as you'll probably hear with our interview with Ben Rennie, how they're that working class. They love getting in and playing that gritty type of hockey. So I don't think anyone's really going to challenge that at this stage of the season.
Wasps and Reds. This is going to be a really good game. I think
it'll be a hard one.
It's a tough one to pick. I think Wasps might find something here.
They're going to go talent up front.
I'm going to go with Wasps.
Yep. I'll just go for Reds.
That's what your contract says, Jane.
Yeah. No.
UWA and Mods. Now, this is at UWA Super Turf. This could get a little ugly. Hopefully, there's some strategies put in place for Mods to try and, to quell as much as they can. Jed Snowden's going to have a big day, unfortunately. But just a very strong team versus a team that's still developing effectively. YMCC and Whitfords. I think you'd expect YMCC to win this, but Whitfords showed something, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they're good scramblers at least, and so I think they'll put up a fight. But they have a lot of talent out there, and so it's hard to plug all the holes.
I agree. Melville and Hale. I think Melville should win this.
Yeah, I would probably back in Melville as well, but Hale firing from a Whitfords draw, so.
Jeff Cock would not be happy.
No, I'm sure they're getting a little speaking to this week.
North Coast Raiders and Vic Park. That should be a comfortable victory for Vic Park, but stranger things have happened. North Coast Raiders have challenged a few teams, so that's going to be a fascinating watch, but it should be Vic Park.
Yeah, I think, as you said, they're looking at trying to get points back on the ladder, and so for this weekend would be crucial for them.
And lastly, a shout out to Jem Buckley, played game 350 on Sunday against Vic Park. Fantastic effort. She's not only the leading games record holder at Wolves in general, she's now 350 games and does not look like slowing down. So if you do have any milestones, debuts, 100, 200, 300, whatever it is, send it through to us or send it through to Hockey WA. We'd love to share that and make sure those players are commended on their commitment to their clubs and obviously the Stiles Electrical Premier League. Hockey WA is thrilled to have the continued support of Stiles Electrical Services as the naming rights sponsor of the 2025 Premier League men's and women's competitions. With over 25 years of experience in sports lighting, Stiles Electrical Services is committed to supporting hockey's growth in WA by assisting clubs with floodlighting upgrades and strengthening pathways for athlete development. Their ongoing support will help enhance one of the world's strongest domestic hockey competitions, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. Visit stileselectrical.com.au to find out more about Stiles Electrical and how they can help your club. Time to spotlight the players from the Stiles Electrical Premier League, and we go back to the men this week, Jane, and this is timely because we've tied this up nicely with one of our mailbag questions. We obviously noted that Nigel had asked a question about goalkeepers and wanting to hear from one. So, Nigel, we've listened. We've got one for you, and we've probably got one of the best ones in the men's competition. Ben Rennie from the Fremantle Coburn Hockey Club. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Jane, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, mate. Great to have you back. You've been somewhat of our stalwart goalie over the last couple of years, yourself and Lizzie. So, no, always a pleasure having you back. We might start with the mailbag question from Nigel. He wanted to know how the game has evolved for keepers, how they deal with particular mental challenges, and the strikers that you hate to face the most.
Love it, Nigel.
Well, yeah, that's a good one, Nigel. Well done. Mental challenges, yeah. Well, the game's definitely increased in a lot of speed and the strikers' ability is now amazing. How they can get shots off and the skill that they've developed over these the new integration of rules and overhead rules, especially without being able to receive inside the D. And I think mental challenges. It's like I try to not overthink too much now. Like I feel like when I'm playing my best, I'm sort of playing on instinct now rather than overthinking. If you overanalyze, you start second guess your moves. You start second guess what they're gonna do. So if you're confident with your own skills, it's like really good to back your own potential and your own skill and play off a bit off the cuff. Like a lot of people are like, oh no, you shouldn't play off the cuff. You should try and do some research. But when you start overthinking it, I think that's when you come undone and you start making little mistakes when you're trying to anticipate where shots are going to go and stuff like that.
No, perfect.
In terms of some strikers that I hate to face, it's always like when I play Hale, I hate playing against Liam. Like he's good. He's a good striker.
I think we all would.
Yeah, played with him for a lot of years. So, yeah, that's one. I don't really like letting any goals in against Hale, just cause. But there's quite a few in our league that are really good. Blake Grubbers is really good. He'll hang back a bit and wait for a spill and get away 1-on-1. So there's so many really good strikers in our grade that has obviously played national rep and stuff like that. So yeah, there's just a couple.
Oh, brilliant, mate. Yeah, look, I can imagine it sounds like the ones that hang out the back, which Liam is also a fan of, and you're having to go 1-on-1 with them, obviously makes it difficult. And then obviously the drag flickers are the guys that are prominently scoring multiple PC goals. I can certainly imagine it's the challenge to go up against them is one you always want to win. Hope that answers your question, Nigel. A fantastic one. Thank you so much for that. Ben, let's get into talking about Freo. But first, we want to know your coffee order.
I'm pretty standard Perth based. It's a long Mac topped up, but I like
classic.
A skinny one. So
okay.
Try and watch my figure.
It makes all the difference.
Weekends,
At least you're not a funky milk person. I just don't understand that. It makes it taste worse to me.
Well, I don't have milk, so.
Oh God! Wow, you're raw dogging it.
Yeah,
just
love it.
Plain caffeine.
Yeah, just a little bit sweetener. I'm good. But brilliant, mate, brilliant. Let's talk game of the weekend. Probably the game of the round before it was played against Melville, a 1-1 draw in the end. Talk us through the highlights and maybe the lowlights in the game from a Fremantle-Coburn point of view.
For us, I feel like we gave away far too many corners throughout the whole game. Just some silly mistakes, just not being low in the D, some unforced errors outside the D, which resulted in PCs. We just let their strikers have a bit too much room, I think, inside our D, which was allowed to, open up your feet when you're trying to close them down and stuff like that. So that was probably our big takeaways from the game. I felt like we had pretty good structure going through midfield and going forward. We might not have created as many chances as we usually do, but we generated enough PCs. But also on the flip side, we weren't able to convert many. We only got the one. So
yeah, you guys both sides scored PCs, hey, through James Day and then Aaron Hazel.
Yep, Aaron Hazel. Yep.
Oh, double L at the end really threw me.
No, probably good to. I mean, nobody likes to draw, but I suppose you're not losing points, and you guys are going great guns at the moment. No notches in the loss column. Have you discussed that?
Yeah, we have, but we're trying not to dwell on that too much because we don't want it to play into our hands to be like, oh, we're going really well. Let's not let complacency come in and start cruising. So for us, it's about, every game is a bit of a dogfight, and we're, as a group, I think we're relishing that. We go, oh, every game's going to be really hard, and we got to push as hard as we can and work for each other to make sure that we're getting across the line. So last year, I think we sort of came into a few games thinking that we were going to win them pretty convincingly or easily, depending on our lineup and stuff. And I think that's when you come undone as a group and you start cruising and the work rate's not there and the effort and you end up dropping points or, losing a game, which you should probably win. So I think that's that mentality that we're taking into this year.
And also, touching on this year, you've obviously lost Devo coming in at the start of the year, but then David John's taken over as coach. What's his coaching style like for you guys? It sounds like you like getting in and getting dirty and, taking that kind of more grunty approach to hockey. Is that what he's driven in you?
I think that's probably sort of our cultural thing. Is we've always been like a blue collar working group. So, but David John's been really good for us. It's always great having someone like a non-player coach being on the sideline to help facilitate everything and run the subs and has a different perspective of what is happening, especially in the heat of the moment. Being a player coach, you can sort of get taken up in the game and things might not appear what you feel. So, but like as Devo is a great coach, it's definitely good to have someone that's stepping aside from playing and being able to facilitate everything around the group, which is really good for us, I think. What
else do you think has been the difference from last year? You guys stormed home in the finals, finished fourth, and won 2 games in a row to get to effectively the preliminary final, and unfortunately went down. But what do you think has been the differences, say this point last year to now?
I feel that, like us as a group, we lost quite a few players coming into the start of the season. So we got together a bit of our leadership group and we've taken a bit more onus on how we're running our sessions, how the group is coming about, probably more so towards our training environment and how each player can input into our training environment and we can get the most out of it, as well as bringing that into game scenarios. I think, that we've put more onus on each person as an individually to help run the group as a whole, because we didn't have a coach until David stepped in like a couple of weeks before the first game. So that's hard as a group, but I feel like everyone's taking that on board and there's more determination for us as being like, oh, okay, we've lost that many players. People are going to look at us as if we might be an easier beat now than we were previously, but that's sort of that mentality that I spoke about before, about everything's going to be a dogfight to try and get the points. So that's that personal mentality that everyone's sort of taken on board and has run with it, which has been really good to see as a group player.
Yeah, and you more specifically for young aspiring goalkeepers out there looking up to you, what are your aspirations for the next 12 months, say, and beyond that? And what are you looking at flagging as like personal goals for you?
Well, ideally we'd love to win a premiership. That'd be great. But for me, I think it's just at the moment I'm sort of that stage in my life and career that I'm just really here to enjoy some hockey. I've felt a bit disappointed that I wasn't put forward into potentially coming back into the national squad. But that's the way life goes. I think with that youth development that they're trying to bring forward is probably a good thing for the Kookaburras. So going forward, it's just put my best foot forward and if opportunities arise, then I'm going to be there to try and grab them with both hands. So
such a hard role you goalkeepers have is one spot on the field and maybe one reserve, and then it's such a hard battle.
Yeah,
you have so much resilience to stick it out.
Yeah, and I think that as a young player, a bit of advice coming forward would be to don't let those little knockdowns or the missed selections treat you as like a loss. So use that to really push forward. And I didn't make a state team to my last year of 21s, and players coming forward are like, oh, I'm not making state teams at 15s or 18s. It doesn't really matter. Each player's going to mature at a different level. So even if you work hard, a bit of dedication, you'll end up achieving those goals that you set out for yourself. So
brilliant, mate, and some great advice for some aspiring goalkeepers. Fantastic at the moment for the Fremantle Coburn team, and I'm sure you're in some fine form, keeping them in games that might be getting close as well. So appreciate you coming on and answering one of our mailbag questions as well, but also giving us a good insight into the Fremantle Coburn Hockey Club.
No problems. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Jace.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Jane, this weekend for Around the Grounds, our segment, it's a huge weekend in the Eastern Goldfields. We've got the Goldfields Festival of Hockey coming up, and we've got former president of the Eastern Goldfields Hockey Association, a friend of the show who was on last year as well. Welcome back to the show, Dan.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jace. Thanks, Jane. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Now, we spoke to you before the Festival of Hockey last year. Tell us how the day went, how the festivities went. Was it a success from your point of view?
Hugely successful, mate. Couldn't have been happier. Obviously, hosting that type of event is a little bit nerve-wracking for a regional association like us, but with the support of Hockey WA, we were able to bring that top-tier hockey to the Goldfields, and geez, the players put on an absolute show for us. The men's game, I think, finished 6-4 from memory. That was Aquinas, of course, and playing the Waspies, and the women's game was a closely fought game as well. So, different surface for them, so a little bit of a different, probably a slightly different preparation on the turf and that, just getting used to the surface. But on the night itself, we had beautiful conditions for hockey, and everything really went off without a glitch. We fed all the players a post game.
That's beautiful to hear.
It was great. No, it was a great interaction to have with them.
Now, a little birdie told me that a few of the footy boys came over after with a few ales and threw some heckles over the fence as well to the boys.
Love that.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, everyone wants their opportunity to get down and throw out the heckles. Hockey's like any sport. There's the naysayers out there, but there's also the guys that just want to get down and see the competition and see what it's all about. So, yeah, it was good fun, and everyone drank responsibly, of course, guys. So,
love it. Thank you.
Everyone did the right thing, of course. But, no, look, it was great to see so many non-hockey people down at our venue and really enjoying the hockey last year. We're hoping we can replicate that this year, of course.
Yeah, I think that's such the plus of having it in a regional centre is people that don't normally watch hockey come down just because it's a great event and you're hosting something and everyone loves sport. Dan, for those that don't know your hockey journey out there and what you've, I guess, done in hockey up until being the president, what can you give them some insight into how you joined hockey, your journey within it?
Yeah, for sure, Jane. So I was a fresh-faced 8-year-old in Kalgoorlie Boulder. I started on the grass like every other kid with a minky stick, and sort of graduated through the ranks. Kalgoorlie got a turf in 96, I think it was. So by the age of sort of 12, 13, we were on a sand-based turf. And, we had considerable numbers through the junior ranks and through to an A grade and B grade senior competition. So I played all my hockey in the Goldfields. I was fortunate myself to play for the 16 schoolboys. So I met a few of the boys in and around Jace's age, and I played 18s for WA and went on to be in the 21 squad. So I did a lot of travel through my late teens and through to I was 21. And that year it took me to Perth. I joined Fremantle Hockey Club, and I played the first 2 years sort of through the 1s and 2s. That was around the time we had guys like Nathan Eglinton running around for us. And I believe we won 301 in the second year I was there. I wasn't good enough to make the side for the Premier League, but it was an amazing experience to be involved in the club at such a great time, and obviously seeing them having success today, it brings back a lot of memories. But look, and that ultimately, sorry, Jane, the National Bank I was working with at the time, after 4 or 5 years in Perth, brought me back to my roots here in Kalgoorlie, and I've been back since 2009, and basically just worked my way through club hockey as a player, an administrator, umpire, and up to the top job for the previous 7 years. So that's my brief hockey journey.
Brilliant, mate. That's a nice little nutshell. And the Fremantle Coburn Hockey Club has been a nice little trend for this show. We spoke to the captain, Ben Rennie, just earlier. This weekend, what does it mean to the region? The hockey traditionalists, the kids coming through. Give us an insight as to what it means.
Oh, look, we're just very humble and grateful that we're even being considered, over this next couple of years. And last year, we know there's over 40 associations in the state. So, and it's got such a strong hockey flavour with the AIS being based in Perth. So for us locally, there is some big names that have come out of the Goldfields many, many years ago. Nicky Mott and of course, Terry Walsh. So we've got hockey roots going back a long way, and we basically we want to see the next generation of stars come from country hockey, and we're trying to nurture that and grow that. Starting, of course, with the Hooked in the Hockey program a couple of years ago, we grew it to over 200 kids, which I know blew a lot of people away. But making the program free by getting some sponsorship locally, and that has really helped do that, or helped us achieve that in that time. Like any sport, there's been the natural attrition where there's been a little bit of a fall away with those registrations. But I do think that the fact we peaked at those sort of numbers showed, at grassroots level, junior sport was looking fairly bright, or is looking fairly bright in the Goldfields. So, yeah, look, to go back to your very specific question, hugely important, connecting the community with a sport that can be played by all ages, as we know, and you can play well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s. I think if you're fit and healthy enough. So, yeah, we're proud to be able to host that type of sport, I guess.
Yeah, wow. And you mentioned 7 years as the president. That's like a long stint. And for those that don't know, what's involved in the day-to-day, week-to-week, season-to-season of being a president, especially in a large kind of cohort of the Goldfields, and like how much do you rely on volunteers, and what does it look like for you to function as the president?
Yeah, great question. And it's not without its challenges. It's volunteer, it's not paid, as you know, and I think from 2018 through to 24, even technology continued to change and everything happens in real time. So you're always connected is what I found, Jane, in particular. And, something would happen down at the venue and I'd know within minutes there'd be messages flying around everywhere. What's going to happen, Daniel? What happens next? I'd walk into hockey on a Sunday morning to watch my little boy play, and there'd be someone wondering what a bylaw meant or whatever. But Look, I wouldn't have done it for 7 years, I guess, if I didn't enjoy, some of those challenges. And one of the big things I thrive on is having good information and being able to help people. And I think that held me in good stead for that time. So, and the only reason I probably stepped away is, it's time for some new ideas. My kids are, as I said, entering that age group now. They're only 6 and 9, but they're entering, a world where I'd like to coach again, and I didn't do any of that while I was president. So, yeah, I think being a modern day president in any association, let alone a regional association, it just brings challenges with how quickly people want information and how quickly you can get it back out to them. So, I do think that's certainly one of those things. And look, to be fair, on this event itself, the Goldfields Festival of Hockey, we did a SWOT analysis with Hockey WA following the event last year. So that's in the days that followed. And, there's been touch points every month since then. So even when I stepped down in November at the AGM, we've had touch points with Hockey WA right the way through, and any other key stakeholders for that matter as well.
Perfect, mate. Perfect. That sounds awesome. Now, give us, I'm hoping you might have a little insight into what people can expect this weekend, besides obviously the 2 Premier League games. Can you give us an insight, what people will be able to see if they head on down to the Goldfields Hockey Turf?
Yeah, look, full credit to the team there at Hockey WA. They're starting with Thursday evening. We've actually kicked off. We've got some midweek hockey on to help accommodate the event with this week, which is great. But bridging the gap, the course they're bringing, I believe, is rolled out now. Strengthening communication and collaboration between coaches and umpires, something that all associations can do with. So we'll be looking forward to some good numbers down there. We've got an academy session, which the coaches will run for us here, and the kids always get some great insight into what's going on and what the latest the skills and drills, for want of a better word. So they'll get to enjoy that on Thursday. And we'll run an umpiring briefing. Angela, of course, will be here. And we really do put some focus on getting some juniors involved in that, and just getting up to date with interpretation and what is and isn't acceptable and today with the rules. So that'll detain us Thursday. Friday, the guys are in the schools, the Kookaburras and the Hockey Roos representatives, of course. So we look forward to getting them out there and getting showing the kids what it's all about. Obviously, been a non-Olympic year this year has helped us get those guys here. We have our Welcome to Hockey or Hooked into Hockey program on Friday evening, which again, hopefully will get representatives down from both clubs. And again, those guys at the top level down to help our kids in the evening. And then more clinics, of course, hosted by the Stiles Electrical Premier League players on Saturday morning. So, we're very, very lucky to have all this coaching and briefing sessions, and that's really what I guess the hockey community will enjoy. But it's the evening itself that we want to get the wider community down and involved in, guys. So from 5:30 Saturday at the local stadium on Lionel Street there, it's going to be a cracker evening.
Absolutely is. If you can't get down, it's going to be on livehockey.com.au. The women is YM and Whitfords, and the men is also YM and Whitfords, so 2 cracking games. Dan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. A huge weekend ahead, and one that this year you can enjoy as a patron. I'm very much hoping you enjoy, you and the kids can enjoy some fantastic Stiles electrical hockey, Premier League hockey this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on the Hockey Hour.
All right, thanks, Jane. Thanks, Jake. Sorry, thanks, Jane. Appreciate it. I've got a quick shout out. Jake Prunster, straight out of Whitfords last year. He's playing hockey here in the Goldfields this year as a school teacher. So it'd be great for Jake to see his former teammates flash on the weekend. Oh,
fantastic. Love that, mate. Brilliant shout out. Appreciate it. We wish you all the best of luck for this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Extra time now, Jane. And this topic is relevant to the finishing of the under-21s over the weekend. We're going to talk about the tournament's structure. This is the same, I think, across the 18s. I think the 16s have this structure as well. So if you're not aware of the structure of the tournament, there are 2 pools of 4. And then depending on where you finish in that 4, you play everyone, in your pool. Depending on where you finish, you then cross over first in Pool A versus 4th in Pool B and so on. And then effectively those teams, that's your quarterfinal, those winners go to the semi-finals, and those winners go to the grand finals. So effectively the pool stage is just for playing, really. And then once you're out of the pool stage, it allows everyone to have an opportunity to get to a semi-final and potentially a final. Now, before we get your thoughts, when we played our underage national tournaments, everyone played each other once. It was over 2 weeks. Wherever you finished, first versus 4th, second versus 3rd, winners play off in the medal games, the gold medal game, 5th versus 8th, 6th versus 7th, and that would be your classification. So more often than not, the 4 strongest states would be top 4. There are obviously some rare occasions, and the weakest states would generally be 5 to 8. Now, this structure that they have now, like we said, allows anyone to effectively play a quarterfinal and gives anyone a chance to get to a grand final. What way do you like?
Well, I'm pretty scarred from one way to go the other way. And so it all kind of originated right from FIH downwards. So they wanted to make hockey exciting. They wanted to make every game count, but conversely, they haven't innately. But that's what the quarterfinal came about. They're like, they wanted to make this spectacle, and they just didn't want this. You keep winning, you keep, accumulating points, and then, you go to the finals, and then people that haven't been winning don't get rewarded. And so that's where the quarterfinal came about. My problem is that the round games don't matter anymore.
Correct.
And so, well, then what's the point? Just pick a name out of the hat and let's just play that team as the quarterfinal, and let's go ahead. Whereas I like to reward consistency. Like if you are winning back-to-back games, that should be rewarded. And I would happy to compromise with if you top your pool, you surpass quarterfinals.
I like that.
And then the rest have to play off, and you do get that kind of exciting, okay, you get a second bite at the cherry, and you get to potentially from 4th get into a semi.
Yep.
I like that idea. I just don't think we should not flat out reward people that top their pool. I think that should be rewarded because consistency and winning and putting time and effort into those round games is super important. But I do like the concept of still having a second go at it.
Yes. I think if you're going to have the pools, I think you reward the top 2, potentially by going straight to a semi. Not sure how people would feel about that because you lose a game and you may lose momentum, I suppose. But how much momentum are you actually gaining from the pools? And then what I would like to see is the rest merged into one ladder. So it then goes, okay, if you weren't good in the pools, then I don't think you should have an opportunity to play a quarterfinal. So you can then say 3rd and 4th, maybe 3rd and 6th and 4th and 5th, let's say. As an example, 7th and 8th can play and then maybe finish their tournament. And then that leads on to the winners go on to semi-finals potentially. Or however that, I probably haven't worked that out correctly. That's just spitballing. But
they have like 5 in each pool or 6 in each pool, they will do drop-off. So if you didn't come the top 4, you don't get a final, which is great. But if you don't have that many teams, obviously it's state-based. And you only have the 8 teams to choose from. So it has to be, could be top 3. If you top your pool, you go straight on.
Yep.
And then the next 2 down. But if you come 4th, you drop out of the competition entirely.
Yeah, I understand why it's being done, right? Everyone is getting an opportunity to play a quarterfinal. However, I'm a traditionalist, right? And I think you are too, in that, you have to reward. It's a strategy to be able to play a tournament like that, right? And I mean, you guys have that at you kind of had that at Olympics. You have to be able to play a tournament for the full amount of time. It was difficult, right? Like, you didn't win every game.
No.
And like let's say when a WA played at Tasmania, it was a challenge because you're expected to win, and that's the mindset like the players go in with. But like Tassie become an underdog, and they know they're an underdog, and they beat you, right? And you then dropped a game that you shouldn't have, so it puts more pressure on games when you play the stronger state. So I liked how that worked. Now, I can also understand that this format also decreases the length of the tournament as well. So I think it was only 1 week the tournament was played. Maybe a bit more, whereas we would have played 2 weeks, right? Like 14 days. And yes.
So it was a grind.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it.
I don't know.
It's a bad game.
No, we didn't play. We probably were just working out autoplay at that point, I suppose. So, but yeah, I am not really about how. I think there's a better structure where you're right. You are rewarding.
Yeah, I think I like the twofold approaches. Like, you reward consistency, and if you've topped your pool, there should be a benefit.
Yep.
And the benefit isn't playing full, because we've seen at international level, even at the Olympic level, people will kind of cruise through the round games. They don't really care where they finish. And for example, Hockeyroos topped our pool. We won every single game, and then we lost a quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Arguably, there was a lot of issues in that game, but like, that shouldn't be the case as well. Like,
correct.
If you've put time and effort to really executing your game plan all throughout the round games, reward that team.
Yep. I agree.
Because it could also be an underdog team that tops their pool.
Yes, 100%.
Playing a New South Wales or a Queensland.
Correct.
And you're like, well, that's sort of unfair as well, because they put time and effort in.
I know I was speaking about AHL before, but I think that's what happened at my last AHL is we topped our pool as the Thundersticks, and then had to play New South Wales because of they finished, I think, 4th in their pool. And then all the Cookers boys came back and just pantsed us, right? So we had this opportunity to play in the final, and then we were just out straight away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I certainly agree. I think there has to be some reward for who finishes on top, and then like my idea is 3rd to 6th play off for a semi-final spot, however you want to do that. 3rd and 6th and 4th and 5th play for a quarterfinal spot, and then they go on, and the other 2 play out, and then effectively 7th and 8th play one more game against each other for classification, and that's the end of your tournament. That could also finish quicker, I suppose. So
yeah, we're not suggesting go right back to the beginning of time and do that, and it takes too long. But yeah, there's definitely, I think, different approaches we can play around with.
We'll send, everyone's watching our podcast, James. So, I say that. Aaron Hopkins, so obviously who's the new men's selector, ran into him at the hockey stadium, and he listens to it. He lives in Canberra. So
a lot of people
are listening to us, Jane. They might be taking on board some of the things we're saying. We can only hope.
We're influencers.
I think you more than me. You're definitely getting more the DMs than what I am. Yeah. I'm getting DMs about bring back your bandana.
Yeah.
And you get all the serious stuff. So that is extra time for this week. And that is it for another episode of the Hockey Hour. A big one, a wrap. We want to thank you for joining us. Obviously, give us a star, a thumbs up, a like on whichever platform you're listening to us on. Go and follow Hockey WA on Instagram. Get around them. Send us mailbags, mailbag questions about hockey. Matt Dawson. send it to Jane or send it to me. We're happy to have any feedback or put anything you would like on the show. As Nigel found out, he asked for a goalie. We got a goalie. So
efficient.
We are, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Hockey Hour. But from us, enjoy your weekend of hockey coming up.